Buongiorno a tutti! Here we are again in my little kitchen in Lecce in the south of Italy. My name's Francesco, and just like everyone else, there are days when I don't know what to make for lunch, so I just take a look at what I've got in the pantry. I have potatoes, I have the fresh fava beans from yesterday in the fridge still, I have carrot, celery and onion, so that's screaming out to be made into a lovely soup. I'm going to add some pancetta, which I'm going to fry to be nice and crispy. I'll add that at the end. And I'm going to flavour the soup with some rosemary and nutmeg. So that's the plan for today. I hope you like the recipe. If you do, please give me a thumbs up and leave a comment below, and do subscribe to the channel. Come back and follow me for more. Let's cook. For today's recipe you are going to need potatoes, fresh fava beans, chopped pancetta or bacon, carrot, celery and onion, rosemary, nutmeg and some fresh parsley to garnish. For 2 good portions of soup we're going to need a small carrot, half of an onion and half of a stick of celery. Peel the onion and the carrot, and along with the celery, cut them into a fine dice. Now that we have the vegetables finely chopped, we can do the same thing with a small sprig of rosemary and a little bit of parsley, which we'll use as a garnish at the end. The next thing we need to do is to pop the fava beans out of the pod and then remove the skin from each individual bean so that they're sweeter and more tender in the soup. They also look much nicer, like this. This might look like a lot of tedious hard work, but unless you're cooking for 10 people or more, it's very quickly and easily done, and it's well worthwhile. And next, of course, the main thing with a potato soup is the potatoes themselves. You're going to need about 1.5 medium-sized potatoes per person. The size that you cut your potatoes, of course, is personal preference. I cut mine into cubes of about 1 inch. And the thing is, we're going to mash about half of them towards the end of the cooking time in order to thicken the soup. So it's not that fussy at the end of the day. Now we can finally get down to cooking. We'll start off with a small handful of pancetta or diced bacon, which we're going to brown in our saucepan until it becomes nice and crispy. Don't worry about anything that seems to be burning to the bottom of the pan. That's all good flavour that we need. As soon as it's crispy, remove the bacon and then add the chopped carrot, celery and onion together with the rosemary, and let this sweat for 3 or 4 minutes, and you'll see, as if by magic, anything that had stuck to the bottom of the pan comes up all by itself. See how clean it's coming up? And all of that flavour has gone into the onions, which will now start to sweat and give off their sweetness and juice. When the onion has become translucent, we can add our water. I added about 4 cups to make 2 portions of soup. Bring the water up to the boil and add a good pinch of salt, potatoes will need quite a bit of seasoning. Then add the beans, and when the water is boiling vigorously, reduce the heat, put on the lid and let them cook slowly for about 15 minutes until the potatoes are nice and tender. After 15 minutes, the vegetables should be nice and tender. At this point, I decided to remove some of the fava beans to add them on top a little bit more decoratively at the end. I didn't want them all to get mashed down when I mashed the potatoes. So once the beans are removed, we can get our masher and mash as much of the potatoes as we need to get the soup to be the consistency that we like. Now we can turn the heat up, let the soup reduce down, and add plenty of freshly ground black pepper and freshly grated nutmeg. All we need to do now is give it a final stir and we're ready to serve. Although it's really tasty, the soup does look a little bit bland, which is why it's a good idea to set some of the fava beans aside to add on top like this, along with a sprinkle of that crispy pancetta, which is absolutely delicious, some freshly ground black pepper, a sprinkle of finely chopped parsley, and a drizzle of your best extra virgin olive oil. Then it becomes something absolutely delicious and irresistible. The perfect comfort food. Enjoy. Buon appetito!